Hey everybody. It's been a little bit. Lance's dad ended up passing away, so it's been tough. I don't really want to get into it because if I talk about it, I'll cry about it. So I'm, just kind of being very forward and leaving it at that. But that we're going through a lot right now. That's kind of Lance's. How we all have these traumatic patterns that we experience in our life. Well, he lost his brother at a young age, and his family has experienced a lot of loss. So to say that I should be in this much shock that, it's happening right now when the energies are so crazy, like it's like the breaking point for everybody. This is the point in time where we're challenged to find that peace. It's like spirit kept coming through and saying, are you prepared? And everybody's like worried about being prepared in the physical, but spirit was like saying, we need to be prepared emotionally. We need to be solid spiritually. So we're able to find that peace when there's a lot of loss, there's a lot of crumbling and destruction and all of that in the physical, but being able to find that peace in it, being able to know that it's breaking down to rebuild, being able to accept that people are where they are, and that, when people cross over and transition and pass away, that is their path, and just trying to become at peace with that, and especially when like this situation that we're in is like a shock, like we didn't expect it. Like, we have people in our family that, are more vulnerable in terms of their immunity just based off their health, that we were kind of, preparing ourselves for those losses because we're realistic, right? But it wasn't his dad. And, we didn't really factor in, a lot of things. And, as much as it is a shock, it's like preparing us to find that peace. And what a synchronicity in a weird sort of way in terms of dealing with trauma, dealing with traumatic things. It doesn't have to be something that's happened in your past and now it's reoccurring in a cycle. We're losing a lot of things right now. The matrix is breaking down, and at the end of the day, our egos felt safe in it. Our egos felt safe in the trauma because that's what it is when you hold lower vibrational frequencies inside you and you're programmed and you go through all these things. Like you are attached to things that make you feel like, okay, I'm okay right now. But deep down, you're not okay, and we just keep suppressing it. And so now that we are finally seeing everything break down, we're finally, watching it crumble. The biggest challenge is finding that peace. And last week, I was, Spirit came through while I was emailing a client, and I asked her at the end if I could share this bit because Spirit was really saying to me that a lot of people need to hear this. So I'm going to read it out to you guys. Sorry it's taken so long to get it to you. It's just been insane, and you already know. There's not one person I know right now that's not going through something. So I'm here for you. I'm surprised I'm even on today because yesterday there's no way I would have been able to get on video. I was just like, I feel everything Lance is feeling right now. So that's tough, that's tough. And that's like a challenge for me to be able to support him. Maybe I've helped him transmute some of that grief and stuff, but at the same time, where is that boundary, for myself and to be able to keep the peace, where can I find that peace? And if I can hold and ground that peace, and, Lance and I are so close that, it helps him do that as well. So, that's how we help each other because we're all connected. So when we ground in that peace, that is that web of that, this huge web of support for everybody going through it right now. And like, if you are going through it and you can find the peace, oh my gosh, you are doing so much for mass consciousness right now. Okay. All right. I'm going to read this. Okay. In these kind of moments where it seems like you've done all the things you can do, you've recognized your shit, set physical boundaries, etc., there will eventually become a tipping point. Usually unexpected things. Let's be honest, on this spiritual journey, we have to get comfortable with the unexpected. There's nothing to do except to find peace. That's all truly releasing something is, finding peace with it. Finding peace with where another person is at on their journey, finding peace and fulfillment from within your own self, finding peace with where the world is at. Wherever the peace is, there you are. Affirm this until you embody it. Embodiment is merely being in peace. How can I find peace right now? Baking, nature, acquiring new skills, building your confidence, expanding your independence, expanding your vibration, expanding your capacity to love through creation and self-love. And as a result, attracting someone who can also show up in that love and peace to the same capacity. And you know, a lot of us, like right now, are going through things where we're having a hard time, releasing, letting go, in whatever that may be. Maybe it's a job. Maybe someone passed away. Maybe it's a relationship thing. Maybe it's where you live. Like you feel like pulled to move and it's scary as hell. How do you find peace in that? Well, how do you find peace in understanding that someone you thought that you wanted to be with isn't willing to see their own shit, isn't willing to grow, isn't willing to do the work with you and grow with you and keep continuing to be a vibrational match to you? And so if that doesn't happen, say inside a relationship, I'm just going to throw out a million examples. When that doesn't happen, you're not a vibrational match anymore. If someone's not willing to grow, they're going to grow at a much slower pace. See, we never really stop growing. We're always growing. It's just some people stay pretty stagnant. They're in the cycles. And like when you keep repeating the cycles, you can only really grow a very small amount. But if you decide that you want to change, you decide that you want to come out of these cycles, you decide that, you're sick of making the same old decisions that give you the same old results, then you can grow. Then you raise your vibration. But if you're in a relationship where the person isn't doing the same thing and the person isn't, recognizing things and they're making decisions from ego instead of their higher self and their intuition, then, you at some point, no matter how much we unconditionally love somebody, we have to have that unconditional love for ourselves. We have to say, is this a balanced person who is a high vibrational match to me? Is it going to be an equal exchange of energy? Is this person going to give to me and love me to the capacity that I love them? And do I respect myself enough to say, this is what I want? But at the same time, not trying to change anybody. This isn't about like expecting somebody to change and then everything's going to be all hunky-dory. That's not how it is. It's like accepting somebody for who they are right now. So like if you're single, you're in a better position than if you're in a relationship where, you already were in the relationship, you woke up in the middle of the relationship, because that doesn't necessarily mean the other person will to the capacity that you do. Maybe they will a little bit. But if you're single, you can make sure you know what you want and how you want somebody to show up for you, and recognizing that nobody's perfect and neither are you, and you still see your own shit as well. Then when you can make sure from the jump that somebody is showing up the way that you need somebody to show up for you, the way you show up for them. You see, somebody is always going to show up for you the way you show up for them. If you are in a relationship and you keep coming back to it, it means you're a vibrational match to it unless you change it. So like, For example, like I'll use myself, like I don't mind talking about issues because that's how people grow and learn, by listening to what other people have gone through and relating to it. So if you've gone through something, sharing it is beautiful. No matter, like, sharing it erases the shame. If you share it and you don't give a shit, that means you ain't ashamed. That means you don't hold guilt. That means you've released it, That means something. But if you're worried about what people think, that's why a lot of people don't want to share something. But anyways, what the heck was I going to share? What was it? Oh, it was about, the point of the matter is, when you're in a relationship with somebody, nobody is perfect, okay? And it's about, how we show up for each other. And when you recognize that, when you get in a relationship with somebody and you just want to nitpick and judge them and see all the negative things in them, you're actually a vibrational match to them. So if you see all these negative things in them, what you really need to do is turn around and be like, okay, I'm a vibrational match to this. So what is in me that isn't of the highest good for me? Isn't of the highest good for this relationship, that I can work on, that I can actually recognize it exists, and in doing so, be able to create those changes. Now, one of two things is going to happen. You're going to grow and change, and that person is going to grow and change with you and be like, wow, like, I see you're changing. I respect that. You're looking at your own shit. Wow, you're a great example for me to look at my shit as well. And they'll also want to grow and change, and it'll be good if you both share commonalities and you have that spark and you can keep it, right? Or you can grow and change, and the other person can stay in ego and stay in patterns and not see that there's always room for change. There's always room for expansion. There's always room to grow in love. And that's one thing that I recognize in my relationship, is that the love never stops getting better. And I think, there was a question that was asked. I had some questions. I wasn't sure if I was going to get to them, but this slides in right here perfectly. How did you know it was time for a divorce, with my ex-husband, compared to your relationship with Lance, where it's worth working out? Well, first of all, I was asleep. I wasn't fully awake. I started waking up while I was married. But one of the things that was huge was the fact that I started realizing that the things that I used to like weren't the things that my soul liked. Like, the things that we like in lower vibrational energies, when we're really programmed, they're a match to those energies. So when you start raising your vibration, you have this awakening, you start to realize what you really hold value to, what you really resonate with, what your passions are, what you want to do with your life, in your daily life, from day to day, what interests you. And so what I started realizing was that me and my ex-husband, we didn't have a lot in common. We had our differences, and issues, but at the end of the day, like, if you don't share that with somebody that you don't like to do the same things, like, that's something that's important. But also, that balance in personalities is important. So I'm like crazy introverted and Lance is crazy extroverted, but we want the same things in life. We both want to live in the mountains, in the country, on some land, off the grid, and like, we're not materialistic people. We like to shop at thrift stores. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're just the same. When we go and we want to, like, we just go out on a whim. We're very spontaneous, and we just travel somewhere, go camping somewhere random we've never been before. We like to explore together. We aren't like, we're very low maintenance people. We're very like on the fly. We can get rid of a bunch of our stuff and not give a crap, like minimalist, like, and like, I would have to say my ex-husband is like maybe the opposite. Cause he grew up in California, and his family, they didn't want for anything, you know, like he always had everything he needed. And like, it was the complete opposite of how I grew up. It was like hard to relate. Right. So for me in my marriage, it was like, I knew once I started waking, isn't it? How did I not know that before? Like how? Like that's how programmed we are. And I thought I had it all together before I woke up. I just thought I fucking knew everything, right? You think you go to college and get a couple degrees and, you know, you go through a few things and you think you freaking know everything. And then, you know, you get hit with a spiritual awakening and you realize you have to let go of all of it because it's all bullshit. It's all a mask you were wearing the whole time, you know? And so, with Lance, it was just like spark, connection, all of that, you know. But I will say mine and Lance's relationship is way more challenging than my marriage because we're forcing each other to face our shit, you know, and we're not giving up. And I would be lying if I told you, like, I can't even count how many times where my ego has taken me to that dark place where I'm like, screw all of this. I don't need anybody, blah, 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 blah. And when you start going there, like, this leads to my next question. Somebody had the same, another question. Should I confide in friends or family when having an issue in my relationship? No, because let me tell you why. And, you know, I get the side of, oh, you need support and all that. But this is why I think that is not a good idea 99% of the time. And of course, it's situational. But listen, whenever you're going through something in your personal relationship, most of the time when you're feeling that, you're in ego. When you're in like fight mode and fight or flight mode, you're in ego. So what you do is you go have these conversations with people who are close to you and you vent. You say all this shit that just like pisses you off about your relationship, pisses you off about your partner, just all these things. And majority of the time, it's just our refusal to look at our own shit. And so like when we don't want to look at our shit, that triggers them. And they don't want to look at their shit, that triggers us. So then we're both in ego and we're just like going off and the momentum is being pushed in this negative direction, right? So unless somebody jumps in and says, hey, we better fucking get it together, it ain't gonna freaking work. Like, conscious spiritual relationships are for growth. The sooner people realize that and get out of fairy tale land, the better. But when you grow, you get the fairy tale. That's the thing. You got to do the work, though. You can't expect to get the fairy tale without doing the work and doing the work individually to the point where then you can actually maintain a union in a relationship. Two people have to do the individual work and then be able to maintain the relationship doing the work within the relationship as well. And there always has to be at least one person out of ego when somebody has a meltdown or a breakdown or, you know, starts going there to be able to ground the situation. Because if you don't, it's separation every time. I've been through this a million times. Like, I'm telling you, this is the way it works. Somebody's got to step in and be grounded and balanced and say, listen, we've got to get our shit together. You're feeling triggered by me, and because you're triggered, I'm feeling triggered, and I'm doing egoic things. I'm saying egoic things. I'm letting my brain go into these places that it doesn't need to go to, right? And this is only when you're in a relationship with somebody that's willing to grow, willing to see their own shit, that you can actually make this work. This wouldn't work with somebody who's not willing to do that anyways. You wouldn't even be able to stay together because a sovereign being isn't gonna allow a low vibrational person cross over these boundaries and not show up energetically in high vibrational spaces from the same place that they are with their love. Let's see if there's any other questions. There was one other one, but it doesn't really relate, so I'm not going to go there with it. But yeah, I feel like that is what needed to come out for, you know, whoever gravitates towards this, it's for you. And you can take whatever example I give you and you can take it with anything. So I just gave you a relationship example, but you can take that And you can use that information and apply it to anything. A relationship with a family member, a friend, your relationship with work, and what, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to, I mean, obviously the whole growth thing, like, would be with another individual, but think about how things are unfolding and how you are reacting, and actually allow yourself to recognize that you got options. You got options. You always have a choice. So even with this whole like situation, with the jab and stuff, you got options. Your ego is telling you don't have options. Fear is telling you don't have options. You always have options. You always have the option to perceive anything the way you choose to want to perceive it. The ego only allows you to see it from one perspective. It's so controlling. It's like our narcissistic government saying, this is the way it is. Watch the media, watch the news, only listen to these scientists, and this is the way it is. It's fucking ego. It's ego playing itself in the physical. Look at it. And then it goes into the micro. It's like when you watch a big swoosh of trees, and if you look at it from a weird angle, it looks like an overly large piece of broccoli just swaying in the wind. It's like if you see how everything is the same from macro to micro, it's the same formula. It's the same fucking thing. But anyways, my kids are out here jumping on the trampoline, distracting me. I love you guys, and I really hope this helps somebody. And this weekend, I might go live one of these days. I just keep hearing Spirit tell me to go live so I can just be with you guys and maybe, just vent, shoot some questions. And if you have questions, please leave them below, because I like kind of just like coming to them when it's time. Like, that's what I've been doing, like just taking a few questions, and the ones that I feel like will really resonate with people, I will just save them. And when the time's right, I'll read it over and I'm like, oh, okay, no, this. And then like Spirit will tell me exactly which ones that I need to go with. So I love when you guys contribute, because it's really a co-creation. It's really you telling me like, okay, this might be something that I need to hear about. And then Spirit will deliver, always. I love you guys, and hang in there. Everything's going to be good.